You must become one with the force. What's up, YouTube? I'm the real Rayhan, and here on this channel, I tell real life experiences, things that I've experienced throughout my life, in hopes that they will help you navigate certain obstacles that you may face, or even avoid those obstacles altogether, along with other things I discuss here on the channel. In today's video, I'm going to discuss why you must become one with the force. What do I mean when I say the force? Energy, vibrations, frequencies. Now, I'm going to align this video with a story that took place and help you understand why becoming one with the force is something that is rather important, something that I feel is needed for all of us. But before I get into that story, I want to give a shout out to the newest members here on the channel, Eric Evans, Mr. Glover, and Torian Clark. I want to give you guys a huge shout out for these guys are the newest members of the channel membership. I want to thank you guys for your continued support and engagement here on the channel. It is very much appreciated. Exclusive content on the way for you guys as well. Why do I believe becoming one with the force is something that we all must do? I know a lot of you here on the channel, maybe not a lot of you, but I have seen comments from a few viewers that weren't really feeling when I speak about astrology. Perhaps you guys believe that it is taboo in some kind of way. I'm not going to spend a large amount of this video speaking about it, or even a small fraction, honestly. Um, but on on December of 2016, I entered a period, an astrological period known as the Jupiter Mahadasha. Okay. Now, if you know anything about the Jupiter Mahadasha, and very few of you probably do, unless you're an expert or a master level astrologist, when you enter a planet's Mahadasha period, that planet kind of takes over your life. It kind of influences everything that is happening around you. Jupiter is the planet of religion, spirituality, also about learning, higher education, or teaching. Okay. You also start to consider things like foreign travel. These are the things that Jupiter controls in astrology. I do believe that when I entered that period of Jupiter Mahadasha, and it is a 16-year long period, that's when I started to become one with the force. Now, what is the force? For those of you that are familiar with Star Wars and the Jedi Knights, the Force is what they refer to the energy field that is around them. They can sense it, they can feel it, and in the Star Wars movies, the Jedi Knights are even able to manipulate it to their advantage. Okay. Now, I'm not claiming to be no Jedi Knight because I entered my Jupiter Mahadasha, but the story that I'm about to tell you in relation to that Jupiter Mahadasha, which I am currently still in, and the events that took place last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, you guys may start to think differently about astrology after you hear the story. All right, so this was a Tuesday of last week. Now, those of you who've been with me on the channel for some time, you knew that I used to work at a juvenile detention center. I currently work still under the same umbrella, but now I'm in I'll say the group home, more like the halfway house. And what we do there for work is we counsel. We play the role of a case manager, a counselor, a youth advocate, and we try to prepare the juvenile offenders for a successful transition back into society. You know, we try to give them life skills, community meetings. We educate them on different things that they will need going into their young adulthood. Okay. That's where I'm currently working. So last Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, because today is Friday. Yes, Tuesday of last week, I came to work. I come in a little later. I work the swing shift. Okay. So I'm not there first thing in the morning. I come right around lunchtime is when I report in. So I come into work. Um, I get there 10 minutes early. I go upstairs. I sign in, clock in. We have to turn in our phones because we're not allowed to have phones in the facilities. And then I go downstairs, which is where class is being held. Okay. Now, class is being held for certain juvenile offenders who have been court ordered to attend class on site. There are some who are allowed to attend their normal public school, um, if the court has deemed that they are not a flight risk, meaning they're not somebody who's going to run, or they're not somebody who is prone to drug use. Those people are allowed to attend their regular homeschool. They just have to come back to the group home at the completion of the day. So I go to the downstairs portion of the group home, and that's where the classroom was set up. And then we do have a an offsite teacher who comes in and gives them schoolwork and teaches them, different subjects. I walk into the classroom, and there was nothing that was happening out of the ordinary, but I felt something different. And when I say felt it, like whatever energy is in the environment, even if it's slightly off from what it normally is on a day-to-day basis, I could sense it. So I come into the classroom feeling a little bit confused as to what I'm feeling, because even though I felt it, I couldn't tell you exactly what it was or where it was coming from. Only that the energy in this environment was different than what it normally is on a day-to-day basis. So I come into the classroom. I greet the other counselors that are there, the youth that I'm responsible for. Basically, I'm, saying hello to everyone that is present in the class. And then I just kind of stand firm and observe, because I'm still trying to figure out what it is that I'm detecting. Okay. Probably about 10 minutes pass, and then we make class ends, or not ends, but it enters the lunch period. Now at the lunch period, classes there's a 45-minute break where all the students, we leave the class, we go upstairs to the dining room area. All the students will eat together. I say students, but they're students slash juveniles will eat together, and then whatever time they have remaining, they'll have a short recess before returning to class at 12:45. So when we walk outside, we go upstairs, we have lunch. I'm still trying to figure out what it is that I'm feeling. Can't pick up on it just yet, because everything still looks normal. Feels different, but looks normal. We go have lunch, and after we have lunch, we come back out to the front of the facility, and we give them, I think they had 20 minutes worth of rec time. Now, there was one of my coworkers who was sitting at the bench kind of observing the rec that was taking place. Now, I normally like to go down and be a little bit more present when they're having rec. So wherever they are, I like to be kind of close to it. So if anything pops off, I can respond immediately. Okay. So what happened was, while this wreck was taking place, or right at the start of it, one of my coworkers, they actually sat down on the bench, and they were updating the logbook, which has to be updated like every 15 to 30 minutes with whatever activity is taking place, whatever movement, whoever is left a group all of this has to be updated, right? So what took place, I'm sorry, I got distracted for a second. So what took place was, while she was sitting there, right before I walked down to the rest of the group, I asked her, I said, excuse me, um, did something happen this morning? And she's like, well, no, everything's been cool. Nothing's happened. I'm like, are you sure that nothing's happened this morning? Because something feels off, and I can't quite put my finger on what I'm feeling, but something feels off. Either like something happened, or like something's going to happen. I can sense it. And she was like, nah, everything was cool this morning, but that will be crazy if you're right and something ends up taking place. So I still didn't dismiss what I was feeling, but I just continued on with the rest of my day. I go to rec with the kids. Now at rec, three, there's four juveniles at rec. Three boys from the older boys group and one boy from the younger boy group. They were the only ones that were court ordered to attend school on site instead of off site, because they either had they were high risk for running, or they were drug offenders, or both in some cases. So after their rec is over, we go back into the classroom. We finish out the rest of the class day, which ends around 2:30. Now at 2:30, or shortly thereafter, that's when the rest of the children or juvenile offenders that got to attend public school, that's when they're able now to come to um, they return to the group home from their public school, and they rejoin the community or the group. So what happened after that? We go inside for a scheduled activity. I believe it was we had we had one of the judges from the court, believe it or not, was coming to the group home, and they were going to do a group with all of the juveniles that were there about expungement. They were going to teach them what expungement was, how to get your records expunged, at what age do you become eligible for expungement, what it means for you as a juvenile offender, all of these things. And this was going to take an hour. During this time, this was being had in the living room area because that's where they have the largest table for everybody to sit at the table to do any type of paperwork that is needed. So after this group was over, I mean, all the counselors are present. We have to be, because I say we're case managers slash counselors slash security at the same time, because we're the only ones that are properly trained with how to restrain a juvenile should something take place. We can't rely on we don't rely. I'm not going to say we can't. We don't rely at all on a guest speaker or a visitor, because we do have different visitors that show up. We have got a guy that comes to do workouts for them. We have a young lady that comes to do art therapy. We can't rely on them to be able to properly restrain these people in the way that the state wants us to do so. Okay, because remember, if you restrain them incorrectly, charges can be pressed against you. You can catch a child protective services charge if you restrain them in any way other than the way that the state mandated you be trained to do so. Okay, so while the group is taking place, all the counselors slash case managers, we're present. We're just kind of sitting there observing. We're letting her have her hour to teach them what she needed to teach them. And when she was done, she packed her stuff up and she left. This is where one of the juveniles, I'll call him Zah, which is a nickname that we've given him. This is where Zah came walking over to me, right? Now, just to give you a little bit of back history on Zah. Zah is a 17-year-old. He's obviously with the older boys group. Zah, I like Zah personally. Zah is also, like myself, from DC, so we already have that connection. Zah also is incredibly articulate when he speaks, and it reminds me very much of me. Like, you can ask him the simplest question, like, how do you feel about what we had for dinner? And he'll say, well, if I'm going to be honest with you, what we had for dinner was not that great, but I mean, I made do with it because I didn't want to be hungry for the remainder of the day. And it's every time I hear it, I'm always fascinated that this kid is 17 years old and he speaks so intelligently, efficiently, and articulately in how he says. It's for that reason that I really like this kid. I try to look out for him the best. Well, not the best, but you know what I mean? He's easier for me to work with because we can relate to one another in many different ways. That's when Zah, he comes walking over to me at the conclusion of the group. And he like, hey, Rayhan, man, let me tell you something, man. How this bitch ass nigga right here gonna try to question me about my motherfucking religion? How he gonna question me about my religion because he saw me eat some shit with gelatin in it, right? Then this motherfucker gonna turn around and do the exact same thing that he saw me did, that he was complaining about. This old hypocrite ass nigga, you's a bitch. And I'm looking confused because I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. What the hell happened? Because for the last hour, you two were not even interacting, right? He was talking to another juvenile by the name of, well, his nickname is Haji. That's not his name, but for whatever reason, that's what he likes to be called. Haji is of Pakistani descent, okay? So you can kind of imagine what he looks like. He kind of reminds me, if you're old enough to remember a cartoon called Johnny Quest, he had a friend named Haji. This is who he kind of reminds you of. Not that he looks like him, but the way he talks is like that. Like he doesn't know how to talk in past tense. Everything is present tense. What did you have for dinner, Haji? I eat meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and it's in present tense when he responds. Haji's 14. I believe he's turning 15 um, in this coming week. But this is who Zah was talking about. You know what I mean? So I look over and I'm like I said, I'm confused because I'm trying to figure out what the hell are you guys talking about? What took place? Because for the last hour, the judge was teaching you guys about expungement. You guys weren't even talking to each other. So what did I miss? Right? Remember, when I came in to work that day, I said something feels off. Okay. So he was like, nah, man, this bitch ass nigga right here, he gonna see me, he seen me eating a Rice Krispie treat for our snack, right? And he gonna ask me like, you know what I mean? You know that got gelatin in it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about that. And he was like, well, are you Muslim? And I'm like, yeah. Then he's like, well, you're not supposed to be eating that. If you don't want to be Muslim, just don't be Muslim. Apparently, Haji is rather devout to his religion. I mean, he's from Pakistan. You can imagine he takes that stuff very serious. Haji at 14 years old. Now, remember, at 14 years old, I've seen him in his room at different times of day, kneeling in different directions on his carpet. Like he takes his religious practices very seriously. Okay. I don't know if Haji was offended at the fact that Zah had eaten this particular thing, or whether he was offended at the fact that Zah had I guess, been so dismissive when he tried to bring it to his attention. But either way, Zah was pretty upset that he was being challenged about his religious beliefs. Okay. And he was going off on Haji. So I'm like, help me understand like what took place. And he was like, yeah, so this motherfucker saw me eating a Rice Krispie treat and he gonna ask me if I'm a Muslim. And when I said yeah, he like, well, you shouldn't be eating that because it has gelatin in it. And I was like, man, I don't give a fuck about that kind of stuff. And then he was like, well, if you don't want to be Muslim, then don't be Muslim. Okay. I'm like I said, I'm still confused as to when this happened. Okay. That part comes later. So Haji's like, I don't know what the fuck you talking about, you bitch nigga. I don't know what the fuck you mean. What you gonna do about it? And I'm like, oh, ho, 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 ho. Because like I said, our job is security. We need to make sure that these guys are not harming one another. So that's when I kind of jump up and I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Y'all need to calm down. Both of y'all. Y'all need to calm down. I'm not sure. I mean, he just told me what happened. I didn't see or hear this happened, but clearly it must have happened and he's upset about it. I'm like, Haji, you have got to be careful about what you say about another person's religion. That is a sensitive subject matter. You should not be talking about religion in this place. You should not be talking about, or you should never question somebody about their religious beliefs or their spiritual practices. Okay. You should never question somebody about their sexuality, or you shouldn't even be discussing politics because these are all sensitive subject matters that can trigger somebody and cause them to become unusually agitated. Okay. Which is what I observed was taking place. So while I'm telling him this, he's like, I do nothing. I do nothing. This guy just talked to me. I do nothing. Like, what the fuck, man? No, fuck that shit, man. I do nothing. I don't know why he's talking to me, why he's cursing at me. And this is what's not cuz bitch, nigga, you up here asking me about my shit, then you gonna turn around and do the same thing. I still don't know exactly what Zah is talking about. Okay. But I'm working off of the presumption that whatever it was that Zah is saying took place, and I just, for whatever reason, must have blacked out or wasn't paying attention for like 20 seconds or so. Like, this is what I'm thinking. So finally, we managed to kind of get things calmed down for probably 20 seconds, maybe, before Zah starts firing right back up again. Nah, fuck that shit, man. Hey, you know what, Haji? Come here. Come over here. And I'm like, no, Haji. You stay over there. We're not doing any coming heres. We're not doing any of this kind of stuff. Y'all need to be separate. You stay over there seated. You stay over there away from Haji, seated. So Zah starts making his way towards Haji because Haji is not obliging the come here motion. So that's when I get up and I get in the middle to make sure that I can prevent further movement from Zah towards Haji. Haji he stood up at that point, but I kind of, hey, put my hand out. Hey, go ahead and sit back down. You good. I'm right here. Zah stops moving. I'm like, listen, Zah, we're not doing that today, bro. We're not doing any fighting. We're not having any physical contact in here. I'm not sure exactly what it was that took place. I heard what you had to say. I haven't heard his side of the story. I don't know what counselor was present to hear or see everything that you explained, but we'll get to the bottom of it. Either way, we're not going to be having any type of altercations in here today, okay? Now, Zah, at this point, he's looking at me with this look like he's sizing me up. You know what I mean? Like, now, Zah is maybe about 5'6", maybe 5'7". I think he said he weighed like 150 pounds. He's I don't know why he's sizing me up. Like, you guys already know I'm 6 feet tall, 225 pounds. I'm athletically built. Like, we don't need to do any of this, right? So he's still kind of standing there and he's like looking me up and down, like he's trying to figure out if he needs to, or how he's going to take me out so that he can get to Haji, right? Eventually, I say, look, Zah, this is me talking to you. Me and Zah already have like a connection. We have a similar sense of humor. We like to joke. We have a certain level of camaraderie. He understands what my position is. He When I ask him to do something, it's always respectful. He's always doing what I need him to do. It's not somebody I had problems with. So this behavior from him on this particular day was highly unusual. Okay. Um, he stood there sizing me up, and it was like a long, awkward silence. It felt like it was like something like 25, 30 seconds where he's just looking me up and down like he's really trying to figure out what you about to do or what he was about to do. So eventually I said something like, man, look, y'all two need to stay separate. It does not need to be that serious. And he finally turned around. He like, nah, man, fuck that shit. That shit is that serious. Bitch ass nigga don't be asking me about my religion and this and that, and this and that and the third. And this is when Haji, who we try to help to not say these things. Oh, fuck that shit, bitch. Bitch, you ain't gonna do nothing, you bitch nigga. Da 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 da. Now, let's be clear. Haji is Pakistani. Okay. I don't think Haji knows what the word nigga actually means, okay? It reminds me of if you guys ever seen Rush Hour and Jackie Chan was like, what's up, my nigga? And the black bartender turns around and he's like, what did you just say? And Jackie Chan looks confused and he's kind of like, what's up, my nigga? That's kind of what it reminds me of, because I don't think Haji knows that this word is a racial slur, that it is highly offensive to somebody of the black African American race, right? He uses it like it's nothing, because another juvenile youth that was friends with Haji, who is no longer at the the group home, he taught him. He thought it was funny, so he would hear him say it so much that he would start teaching Haji to say it so that he can laugh every time he heard him say it, because it's funny. He's ignorant, but anyway, Haji goes back and forth. Yo, you fuck this shit, you bitch nigga. Fuck this. You don't do this. You ain't gonna do nothing. Come slap me then, you bitch nigga. So Zah's getting even more upset. We have to take Czar. Another counselor comes in when they hear all the commotion, and we have to take Czar out of the room. We got to separate him, because at this point, he really is like salivating at the at the mouth. He wants to get to Haji. Okay, so Czar goes. They take him outside so that he can cool down for a little bit, right? And that's when I continue the discussion with Haji, and I'm trying to figure out like, yo, bro, you can't be using the word nigga towards somebody of our ethnicity. Now, some of us may laugh when they hear you say it, because it is kind of funny the way you talk, the way your accent and all of this. But the reality of it is that word is highly offensive. You can't be using that word. You shouldn't be talking to anybody about their religion. You don't ever comment on that stuff, bro. Don't ever talk about these subject matters, because they'll trigger somebody. As you can see, look how upset he is. And he's like, I do nothing. I do nothing. I saw him eat Rice Krispie treat. And I just say to him, Rice Krispie treat have gelatin. You Muslim, you shouldn't eat. And he got upset. I said, when did this happen? Because I didn't see it. He said, this happened last week. This happened. This was last week. And I'm like, last week? You hold on. He's that upset right now about some shit that happened last week. And that's when the other older boys that were in there, they was like, yeah, I remember that. That was like last week. That was like what, last Thursday or something like that. Mind you, today's Tuesday. That's 5 days ago. So I'm just like, why on earth is he so upset about it now, of all times? So either way, I continue dealing with the older boys in our regular capacity. Zah's outside having a cool down moment. Now, what happened next was that the younger boys were being switched into the living room area so that they can have dinner. Okay. The older boys were being moved into the other living room space so that the younger boys can eat first, because we kind of alternate who eats first on what days, this and that and other. So while we're in the living room area, I'm continuing to have some type of group with the older boys. I don't know what it was about. Probably teaching them something about cleaning supplies, or no, I think I was actually teaching them about money management, how to save money, how to create a budget, how to do all these things that you will undoubtedly end up doing when you reach your adulthood, because these guys are 17. Some of them are turning 18 in the coming months, like before the end of the year. So I'm trying to give them life skills, and after that, I give them real life skills. Like I said, with my age, I'm like, hey, I'm more than twice you guys' age. So now that I've done what the program wants you guys to do, I'm opening up the floor for you guys to ask me whatever questions you want to ask me. Whatever, as long as it's work appropriate, I will give you an honest answer on how you need to navigate that situation in your life when you reach it, or if you're already dealing with it. Okay. So while we're in the younger group, they managed to get Zah. He's still outside and he's still cooling down a little bit. Okay, they're still cooling him down. Now that's when our deputy project manager, Deputy director would be the position. That's when she's leaving for today. Because by this time, it's like, I want to say it's like five-ish, something like five-ish after 5 p.m. Okay. So I've been there at this point now for like 5 hours. So she's leaving for the day, which is around the normal time that she leaves, right? Soon as she walks out, she's trying to tell us, oh, okay, we need to make sure that these two, Haji and Zah, stay separate because I don't know what's going on, but he's outside cooling off and he's really upset. So we're going to switch him and put him in a group with the younger boys so that they're in separate groups. We like to keep the groups broken up according to their age. So if you're 14 and up, you're with the older kids, and if you're 13 and below, you're with the younger kids. This day we had to make an exception, so we moved Zar to he was going to be moved to the group with the younger boys after he was done cooling down. That was the instructions that we received from our deputy director. Then she goes ahead and she walks out of the facility. She's walking across the parking lot. She's on her way to her car. She comes running back into the building and she's like, did somebody escape? Are all the kids accounted for? And we're like, we're looking confused. I'm like, yeah, yeah, they're all right here. They're all right there. Nobody's left the building. And she's like, why are they talking about somebody escaped? Remember, the detention center that I formerly worked at is literally maybe 15 yards from the group home. Okay. So she's like, she's putting all her stuff down. She's going outside to join this big ass search party that's taking place around the detention center. Okay. That's when a phone call comes in, and I think the phone call is coming from the sheriff's department, and they're trying to figure out, did a kid escape? Did a kid escape? Who escaped? And we're like, yo, nobody escaped. We're good here. All of our children are accounted for. So they continue on their search around the detention center. We still don't know what's going on. Mind you, Czar is still sitting out front with another counselor cooling off. Now, all this commotion about an escape has us confused, okay? That's when I hear a doorbell ringing to the front entrance, or it really is it feels like it's the back entrance, but it's really the front entrance of the group home. So I hear the doorbell ringing and I'm like, that's odd. Who is coming through that particular door? It's gated. So I go out there, and as I walk, it's actually the executive director for the detention center. And I think she was leaving for the day as well, if I'm not mistaken. And she must have got thrown off when these phone calls about an escape came in. So, I open up the gate for, typical greetings. Good afternoon, ma'am. How you doing? She's like, not good. I'm like, what's happening? She's like, there were 3 girls that just escaped from the detention center. I'm like, is that why there's all this confusion about people escaping from the group home? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, well, how on earth did they escape? Because every door in the detention center requires you to utilize a key to get out of it. And she was like, I'm not sure, but I think they climbed up on the chicken coop, and then they climbed up on the roof and ran across the roof and jumped off the portion of the roof that's closer to the parking lot. That's just a small jump. And I was like, it was 3 of them though? And she's like, yeah, that's what all the commotion is about. Next thing you know, we hear helicopters flying over top of the facility, and we're like, yo, they got helicopters out here? Now understand that an escape from the detention center is very different than somebody running from the group home. The group home is not under severe lock and key like that. These guys can come out of their room whenever they want. If they're getting frustrated, they can actually walk outside and walk the fuck off if they decide to. Now, obviously, if that takes place, we consider that an AWOL. We got to call the police department, let them know, call their guardian, let them know, and then they will either put out a minor search for them and go get them. Maybe. Okay. But in the detention center, you are treated, even though you're a juvenile defender, but you're treated very much like an inmate for the most part. So an escape from the detention center is considered an escape. That's like a whole nother charge. Okay. That's not going to happen at the group home, but at the detention center, it will. So all this commotion is going on. They got helicopters out there. The helicopters are trying to figure out, like, yo, what, trying to keep the eye in the sky on the detention center so they can possibly see these 3 girls that managed to escape. Now, mind you, they have on I almost want to say uniforms, but they know what their outfit is going to look like because everybody in there wears the same thing. Okay. That's when I come to the front door, and I open the front door because I want to take a look out and figure out, like, what on earth is taking place. So when I look out the front door, I'm like, man, that's crazy. I see the deputy director out there searching. I see this person searching. Zah jumps up and like, what? That nigga still talking? So he starts charging towards the door that I'm holding open. Now, mind you, I'm not really paying attention to Zah because I'm still kind of looking and taking in all the information about what is going on out here, right? The counselor grabs Zah and Zah like, yeah, nah, what's up, you bitch ass nigga? What's going on with this and that and the third? And I'm looking like, he like, nah, what's up with you, nigga? What's up with you? And I look back and I look forward again, and I'm kind of like, you talking to me? And he like, yeah, nigga, I'm talking about you. What's up with you? I'm trying to see you. And I'm like, nigga, what? So I look at the older boys. I'm like, yo, y'all go ahead and have a seat. I'm like, Zah, bro, we talking about what's going on at the detention center, bro. Nobody's talking about you. And he kind of like goes on this 1,000-yard stare, but he's like looking at the floor like he's trying to figure something else out, right? I go back inside. He stays outside for what felt like another 40 minutes or so, right? So as I'm continuing to just speak with the older boys about different things, the counselor who was outside with Zah brings him back in. He comes in through the deputy director's office, which is a separate door from the front door, but right next to it. It's just in a separate room. So when he comes in through the door, because the counselor had to open the door for him, Zah comes in. Now I hear something sound like it was either kicked or knocked over, and that's what prompted my attention. Like, what was that noise? Because we know where each one of the juveniles are. These three are with me, or these two are with me. One's in the shower, and all the younger people are in the other room. So I'm like, what was that noise? So I look up. That's when I see Zah walking through the deputy director's office, because it's just a glass window there, like you can see right through. He comes walking through the deputy director's office, and he turns into the living room. Mind you, he's not supposed to be in the living room. Counselor catches him, takes him into the younger boys' room. Now, when he's in the younger boys' room, he's trying to find ways to get to Haji. And we've got the situation mostly diffused. We just got to get Zah calmed down. So while he's in there with the younger boys, he's like making up all these excuses so that he can get out of the hallway. So he asked, could he use the restroom? They allowed him to use the restroom, but what happened was the counselor walked with him and stayed closer to the entrance to the room where I was to make sure that the restroom is actually where he was going. It wasn't where he went. He went outside. He was trying to get down and find a way to sneak into Haji, but he couldn't. So when the counselor got him back inside, I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna block this other door here, put something in front of it, because he may try to come charging and come through this door. He did. The other room with the smaller kids, it was being monitored by female counselors, so they weren't going to be able to do much with a teenage boy who was upset and looking to fight somebody. Okay, so I blocked the other door when they brought him back in, and sure as hell, I say maybe a minute after I had put certain objects in front of that door, he tried to forcefully come through that door because he thought it was going to be the shortcut to get to Haji. It wasn't able to work, and we were able to. The other counselor's like, "Yo, come on," and he took him back into the room. Now he asked, "Can he get some water?" Which again requires him to walk past the room where Haji is. We allowed him to come out to get water, but he didn't really get water. He went back outside, and that's where they held him for a little while because they were still trying to get him to calm down. He would not calm down. Okay, I didn't know how angry he was because I didn't have to deal with him directly during this time, but he would not calm down. Counselor opens the door again to the executive director's office, not to the room that we were in, the executive director's office or the deputy director's office. And not Haji, Haji's sitting in the corner closest to me. We're conversing with another older boy. And that's when Zah comes back through the deputy director's office, and then he comes charging into the living room area where Haji was. The other counselor came in. I don't know where he came from, but he came fast as hell. He came and kind of like grabbed him and pushed him up against the wall. And I saw Zah's face kind of tense up, like wasn't like he was this close to achieving his objective. It was today. It was going to happen now. And that's when I jumped up because I saw Haji jumped up. I thought Haji was about to charge him. So I jumped up and I get to Haji. I put a hand out. I'm like, yo, just go to the other room where the other kids are. He's like, nah, man, fuck that. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here. And I'm like, yo, go to the other room, bro. You're making this more difficult than it needs to be. Whole time, Zah is still trying to get to Haji. The other counselor literally wraps him up and picks him up in the air to try to carry him out the room, and he kind of wiggles his way out of it so that his feet get back to the ground. Haji is already gone to the other room now. He actually heeded my warning and went to the other room. So when Zah realizes he's at the other room, Zah comes charging out into the hallway because he's about to sprint after Haji, who's in the other room. That's when I come behind Zah and wrap him up around the waist. Now we have a certain way that we have to restrain these juveniles, right? So I have to be very careful about how I do these things. So I grab him around the waist first to kind of slow his forward movement. And then I have to hook his arms from the front and get my arms behind him. It's kind of like a forward Nelson, but I guess it would be the technical term for it if it was a wrestling move would be called a rear Nelson. I guess. I don't know. But I'm trying to do that. And he's aware that it has to be done a certain way. So he kind of like he kind of leans forward to kind of push his ass backwards, like he's trying to knock me backwards or something like that, so that I can't get a hold of his arms. That's when the other counselor tries to cut him off, and he comes running around the other side of the room so that he can be in front of Zah. Now with somebody in front of him and somebody behind him, Zah tries to charge past him. The other counselor, I think he maybe used to be a football player. I'm not sure. He's bigger than me. Like I said, I'm 6 feet 225. He's 6 feet 250. He tries to charge past him, no avail, but he's still like pushing and trying to get around him. So that's when I come behind him and I grab him again and get a hold of one of his arms so that he couldn't swing at anybody. Because at this point, him swinging and kicking is what's going to become a problem. He's not going to move two fully sized grown men weighing a combined weight of 475 pounds. He's not moving us, but he can swing at us, remember. And even if he does, we cannot swing back. We have to restrain him a certain way or face CPS charges. So I get a hold of his arm. The other counselor gets a hold of his other arms, and we kind of run him backwards away from the other room. And we're just kind of holding him in the proper restraint technique. That's when the deputy director comes back in and like, what the hell is going on? And she sees that we have a restraint on Zah. Haji is in the other room with the younger kids now. And we're holding Zah in this restraint, in this particular position. Man, it felt like forever. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I think we were holding him in that particular restraint for probably about 15, 20 minutes. And the whole time he's kind of tensed up and he's just staring at the wall like, he's got this 1,000-yard stare, like, but I'm like, yo, you can use up all your little might, bro. You're not getting out of this restraint. You're not getting the Haji. You're gonna calm your little ass down. It's pretty much what's going through my mind. So while we're holding him, I'm being mindful to be somewhat therapeutic because I'm thinking to myself, this is crazy that he is that upset about something that about Haji saying this to him. Come to find out, what led to all of this starting, or what led to it happening that day, was when they were given their snack. I don't know what it was. It was some type of strawberry Danish. I don't know what it was, but Haji ate the snack, which apparently had gelatin in it, right? Now, this is what upset Zah, because Zah knew that whatever it was had gelatin in it. Haji didn't know it had gelatin in it, so he ate it. That's what set Zah off, because he's like, how you going to question me about my religion for eating something with gelatin in it? Then you're going to turn around and do the exact same thing. And that's when it all made sense to me why he had gotten so upset 5 days later. The two incidents were connected, but one occurred 5 days ago. The other one had occurred right then, moments after or during moments where the judge was teaching him about record expungement. So while we're holding Zah in restraint, he's still tensed up. He's still staring at the wall with this 1,000-yard stare like he's ready to break something, but he couldn't do anything. He knew he couldn't do anything. And that's when I was reminded that, let me be a little bit more therapeutic. I'm going to keep this restraint on you. But the way I had the restraint was I had my left arm through his left arm to keep his left arm kind of pinned to his body. And I had my right hand behind him, kind of locking my left arm in place like this, and I had my hand on his shoulder, so there was no way he was gonna swing on anybody. But while I had my hand on his shoulder, I'm kind of like giving him pats, you know what I mean? Just calm down, bro. Calm down, man. You did a lot of good work here. You don't want to jeopardize that. You ran and you came back because you already knew they weren't going to come looking for you. So when you came back, you were trying to do this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? Just keep in mind what motivated you to do everything the right way, man. It's not that serious. So we're patting them, calm down, calm down. That's when I started to feel it again. That feeling that something's off today. Something in this energy environment is not right. it was coming from Zah. I could feel it because even though he was angry, he was tensed up, he had an agitated look on his face. What I felt is that this boy really wanted to cry. That's what I was starting to feel. And I was starting to feel it like very heavily. Like it was almost ready to make me cry, is how heavily I was feeling it. So I was like, it's him. What I've been feeling all day is coming from him. So that's when I got a little bit more encouraging with the therapeutic stuff. Yo, bro, you gotta calm down. You gotta calm down. Just gotta let it go, man. You gotta relax. Da 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 da. And I want to say somewhere around the 12-minute mark, 14-minute mark, that's when I finally felt a break. And I heard him kind of like, and I'm like, he does want to cry. I knew that's what I felt, right? But he was trying to stay gangster, and he was trying to hold on to this shit, right? So after he realized that he wasn't going to be able to get to Haji, we weren't going to let up on the restraint. And I guess he was tired of us holding him. He was like, man, can I just go to my room, please? In his normal tone of voice. Mind you, 15 minutes ago, this motherfucker was like the Incredible Hulk. Can I just go to my room, please, and go to bed? So we're not supposed to put them in their room until it's actually bedtime. They're not supposed to go in their room at all. But this was like a situation where it was kind of like, that might be the best idea because if we turn him loose, we might have to go through tackling him and restraining him all over again, right? So we asked the deputy director who was there, can we take him to the room? And she's like hesitant to make a decision because she knows that's not what the director wants. So she's phoning the director. So we keep him restrained and walk him to the back hallway where his room is. And we're kind of standing outside of his room waiting for the confirmation that this was going to be okay. I want to say another 10 minutes passed and there was still no confirmation. And he kind of asked us again, man, can I go to my room? Can I go to sleep? Can I just go to my room? And we like, look, man, we gonna have to make a decision because she's not getting back to us fast enough with all the confusion that's going on with the 3 girls that escaped from the detention center. So ultimately what happened is we unlocked the door to his room. We lift the restraint. We unlocked the door to a different room because his room and Haji's room are directly across from each other on the boys' back hallway. So we're like, look, we're going to open your door and we're going to have you move all of your stuff out of your room and you're going to move it into this empty room. This is going to be your new room because the boys' hallway actually has another door that does lock. So we don't have to worry about him running and trying to attack Haji or trying to kick down Haji's door any point later tonight. We don't fully trust him yet because of what he's done throughout the course of the day. So we open that door. He goes into his room. He gets all of his belongings. He brings everything out. I help him with the stuff that I can. Didn't take him long to transfer the stuff into his room. And then once he got settled in, he closed his door. He changed his clothes. I think he came out to go use the restroom. And then he came back. And when he came back, I was like, hey, good night, bro. And he was like, good night. You know what I mean? In his normal tone of voice, I could tell that he was feeling down at that point. Okay. He goes into his room, he closes the door, he turns the light off, and he goes out. By this time, it's like 7, probably like 7 o'clock. They're not supposed to go back to their rooms until 8:30 at the earliest. 8:30. Okay. He goes in there, he turns the light out. I stand outside of his room because now the fact that he had such a big emotional outburst and he's in his room, we got to kind of keep eyes on him. Okay. Like I said, he can come out of his room whenever he wants, but there's no cameras in the room. They don't have P rooms that are like suicide watch rooms. So because of this big emotion, I wanted to make sure I was close to his room in case he did something in the room where he was trying to harm himself. Okay. So I just stood by to keep him monitored. And after a little bit of time, he was out. He went to sleep well before the time that they usually go to sleep. The rest of the day goes on and we bring the rest of the younger boys and older boys back at bedtime. We get them into their rooms, to their respective rooms. We keep that door that separates the boys' hallway from the main hallway where Zah's new room was and where Haji's old room still is. We keep that door closed because it has a lock. Only counselors, case managers like myself can get through this door. If Zah came out, he would not be able to. And there's another restroom option for him to use so that he doesn't have to go in that back hallway to use their restroom. So I'm like, cool, we can keep these two separated now that we've got, one person in the room. We've got Haji in his room. Now it's fully under control. Nothing can happen at this point. The other counselor who assisted me with the restraint, he ended up leaving. He leaves a couple hours before I do, but he had forgotten because we had to write up incident reports and all types of things to document what had taken place. Um, and then when he leaves, he gives me a call back because I'm still there, and he's like, "Hey, I forgot to call his mom. We got to let his mom know that a restraint took place involving her son, and that nobody was injured in these things." So I was like, "Yo, give me her number. I'll call her and I'll let her know. That's all I got to do." He gives me her number. I call his mom. And when I call his mom, I'm like, "Yes, this is Mr. Rayhan. I'm just calling to let you know that your son's he was restrained today. We had to restrain him to prevent him from harming another one of the youth that were here. Nobody was injured. Your son was not injured. After the restraint was lifted, he willfully went to his room and he went to sleep for the rest of the night." And she was like, "Yeah, I don't know why I'm having such a hard time reaching that kid, but it's just so much to deal with. I don't know what else to do." And just well, it's a lot going on inside the family right now. It's a few days ago was the anniversary of his father's passing. His father was murdered a couple years ago, and Zah was the last person to be with him before the murder took place. He taken Zah to a football practice, and then a couple hours later, he had been murdered. And that made Zah feel some type of way, because it was the last time, he was the last person to see his father, and that was the last time he saw him doing like a bonding situation. She's like, "Yeah, so that anniversary was a couple days ago. His grandfather passed away just uh 2 days ago, and his sister's childhood friend, who Zah's also familiar with, passed away a few days ago as well. So it's been a lot that has been taking place in the last 5 days, 4 or 5 days or so." And I was like, highly understandable. Yeah, Zah is actually a good kid. I'm not here to give you any type of parenting advice or anything, but I do share somewhat of a bond with your son. He reminds me very much of myself when I was that age. And she started mentioning his anger problems and how quick he is to anger and how overboard he goes. And I was like, yeah, that all sounds familiar. I was a hothead when I was 17, 18, 19, maybe even up to 20 years old. I used to get into trouble a lot when I was in the military. And I don't think it was any of the stuff was actually my fault, but I do believe that my hot-headedness made me less tolerable of things that other people probably would have tolerated or expected to have to tolerate. And she was like, "Well, that's good to hear." I was like, "Yeah, he'll come out of that eventually. Just don't give up on this young man." Like I said, I'm not here to give you any parenting advice at all. I just had to make you aware, because it's a part of the procedure, that we had to restrain him today and that he was not injured. And then when I hung up the phone, I said, "I knew it." Remember how I started this video, and I said I came into the atmosphere and I knew something was off today. It was even though everything looked the same, something about the energy, the vibrations, the frequency in this atmosphere, it was off. It was Zah. I felt it during the restraint. I still didn't know why. But when I talked to his mom, and I believe it was meant to happen that way, it was meant for the other counselor to forget to call the mom, to ask me to do it, so that it could confirm what I had been feeling. Because when I called her, she divulged all that personal family information to me, which confirmed everything that I had felt. So when I came in, I came to the conclusion that what was off was the fact that on Czar's mind was the anniversary of his father's passing, that his grandfather passed away. He was feeling all of these emotions, and that's what I was detecting when I came into the atmosphere. I didn't know it was him immediately until we did the restraint, because during the restraint, we're closer to you. We're much more physical with you. And that's when I could feel the energy coming from him. And I was like, this boy is angry, but he feels like he wants to cry. These are two very different emotions. And then his mom confirmed everything during that particular phone call. But I'm happy to say that today, Zah is pretty much himself, still laughing, still playing, still answering every question he can as articulately as he usually does. Him and Haji's relationship is still they'll communicate, or more so Zah may ask Haji a question, but I don't sense the hostility there. Haji usually is very He's usually very quiet anyway. He doesn't really say very much because his English is not the best, but he does know how to say what he needs to say, and he does know how to recognize what you're asking him and respond appropriately. So there's no tension between Haji and Czar anymore, at least not that I know of. Like I said, I'm glad that Czar is back to his normal self, and that is the reason why I say you must, it's going to be very important at some point in your life to understand how to recognize, how to feel, how to sense the force, is what I like to call it. I'm talking about energy, vibrations and frequencies that are around you, because it makes you more conscious and aware of what's happening in your surroundings. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap it up for this video. Once again, I am the real Rayhan, and I tell real life stories here on my YouTube channel. If you guys enjoyed this story time with me here today, please do me a favor, smash the like button. It's somewhere over here. That helps the video to reach other people who may appreciate it as much as you have. And if you're new here to the channel, I definitely invite you to subscribe, and do ask that you turn on your notifications so that you can be notified immediately when another video uploads. I'm trying to get more videos out to you guys more often, instead of having them being a week or 2 weeks apart. So yeah, if you guys enjoy this, you definitely want those notifications on when those videos start to drop. Once again, I want to give a shout out to the newest members here on the channel. Torian Clark, Eric Evans, and Mr. Glover are the three newest members to the channel membership. I appreciate you guys a lot. I want to say gratitude and thank you once again for your continued support and engagement here on the channel. That is all I have for you guys today. I want to thank you for joining me, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Peace.